Hey, a special steel toe video coming today. We've got 3 candidates. This one's a little more local, actually. This one's more here in central Minnesota where we do the show out of. We've got 3 guests all at once, all 3 of them running for St. Cloud District 742 School Board. We've got Mike Bueckers, we've got Nicole Rierson, and we have Theresa Carlstedt all joining us right now. Mike, Theresa, Nicole, how is everybody?
Doing good, thank you.
Amazing, thank you.
Yeah, I'm doing well. I just happy to be on the show here.
Oh, you nailed it. I like to do that. You know, if there's people on Zoom and you ask them all at the same time, we have the video switcher to whoever's talking going up. I just thought it would be fun to see what happened if everybody spoke at once. All right, let's jump right into things. Mike, you contacted me first to put this whole thing together. I live on the west end of St. Cloud, so this is I'll be watching this one very closely. There's multiple school districts in this area that are having quite a bit of conflict, actually kind of around the country when it comes to the dynamic between the schools and the parents and involvement. Is that kind of what brought you 3 into this race?
I would say so. I'm definitely not a politician, and I think running for school board never was really on my radar. I think the last couple of years as a parent here in the district and seeing some of the things that my kids are, going through it at the schools here, raised some concerns and attention, obviously. And I think as a parent, it's like, hey, I need to make sure my kids are getting the best education possible.
Sure. Now, Nicole, you have been in education. I mean, you from what I've read, 20 years. You just recently stopped. You recently got out of teaching in St. Cloud, correct?
I do hold a current Minnesota teaching license in special education, learning disabilities.
Okay.
And I on and off in the district for 20 years. Like I said, on and off. I did stop for several years to be home with my kids until my youngest went to kindergarten, and then I went back. So I've been back in the schools for the past 6 years or so. And yeah, just started seeing some things as a teacher and as a parent that I knew needed some attention. So that's why I got involved, and just really focusing on making it the best schools that we can for our community. Even though my children are not currently in the district, I do have a grandchild on the way. I have friends and family that are near and dear to my heart that attend St. Cloud schools, and my community does, my neighbors do. So I wanted to run to be able to hopefully get my children back in the public school. But right now I see a few issues that I'm not comfortable with, or maybe that aren't working the best that they can. There's a lot of great things in this district as well. So we do still take part in a lot of the district activities and things like that. So just hoping to make it even better than it is.
Theresa, what inspired you to get into this race?
I am running because my husband, with the community of where it's gone, his solution was to move. I said no. And that's really got me in the field of like, how can I help my community? But I got really involved with running is I have a special needs sister that went through the district. And not being able to get the services through COVID, and they were wanting to mask her and put on a shield over her and not give her the care she needed. So that's really what motivated me to run, was off the special needs field for the school board. And also talking with teachers, there are a lot of budgets, but they don't see them. So there's like mismanagement of funds. So a big one I'm running on is budget, safety for students and teachers, and really to help the education system, because we've seen where the education system has gone. And in this district, I think the graduation percentage rate is 68% right now, and they consider that high. That's actually, according to my standards, really low.
Yeah, that's
so
not...
trying to just overall help this district. by making changes and work with Mike and Nicole on the board.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a very high number. And if anyone's wondering, Theresa is currently at a fair. She's not working in a kitchen or anything like that. So she was nice enough to join in from a beautiful day outside. So she is giving us her time there. Mike, back to you now. Is it common, because this is one of the first times a lot of us have decided to like closely follow school board races anywhere in a lot of different places. Is it common for three people to kind of almost pool together and not run as one, but kind of not running with each other, but not running against each other? Is that common, or did you just find two other people who kind of had the same concerns as you did and decided to just kind of pool your voices and resources, so to speak?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So there is actually 3 seats available on this year's school board election. So there will be, 3 available spots. So the 3 of us kind of met just through a local group, and we kind of, as we're talking and discussing different things, we all kind of hold the similar values and similar concerns as to things that are going on in the district. And I think, we all live in the community. So, we have a heart for the district and the kids in our community as well. So I think the idea behind that was, hey, let's just, let's kind of team up. Obviously we're still individuals as candidates, but just team up and help each other out through the campaign experience, I guess.
Yeah. So now if 2 of you get in or 1 of you get in and the others don't, who turns on who first?
Definitely me. I'm turning on all of them.
It was their,
just kidding.
It was their fault. They didn't give me enough press. I didn't get enough attention. They hogged it all for themselves. Nicole, you've been very closely involved with the school district through teaching and all of that. And it's no secret, at least here, where in the conversations I've had with people, and Mike and I were talking about it just before we went live, that attendance, enrollment, people wanting to seek other school districts to take their kids to or go to private school is not uncommon in St. Cloud. Why do you think that is? What's the biggest reason, and what would electing all 3 of you or any 3 of you, how would that help to turn that around?
Great question. So the reason we kind of pulled together to do to support each other is because there is a 6-member board. 6-member board. There's 7, but the superintendent doesn't vote unless there's a tie.
Sure.
So if all 3 of us get in, it means that it's easier to do the things that we want to do because we would be a majority vote. So the big decisions are always a vote in the school board. So having 3 of us on there just makes it a little bit easier, time to get things that we want and don't want voted in or out.
Sure.
So that's kind of why we decided to join together. You are correct in that attendance is going down in St. Cloud. On the last budget meeting that I attended, I think it was 5% over the last couple years that we've lost attendance. And speaking to community members and friends and other staff, I've found 2 issues mainly that kind of are the precedent for them leaving the district or looking into teaching in different districts, things like that. And the 2 are the academic achievement in our district. Like Theresa said, our graduation rate is sitting about 69%, and that was up from 64 in 2019, I believe that one was. So it did go up a little bit last year. We did offer, the school board voted in, I think it was the school board anyway, and I would assume it was them, had a pass-fail requirement. So made it a little easier for kids to graduate because all they had to do was do enough just to get that D-.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's at 69%, and that's with just you just have to get a D- to graduate. So they're padding the numbers, and that number's still not great.
Mm-hmm, correct.
Oh boy.
And then the issue is safety. Safety as a student, feeling like they are safe in the schools, safe in their classrooms, just to be able to have that academic learning time where the teachers aren't dealing with behaviors and trying to control the classroom. And that's where I saw a lot of need as a teacher in the district, was just following discipline policies so that we did have time to actually teach.
Yeah. Now, Theresa, because of your situation, we did talk about this earlier. Just kind of feel free to jump in whenever you feel the need to, because you're outside and all of that. Mike, back to you. As far as this election, the state, the St. Cloud State, excuse me. That's another issue that needs maybe a rescue. That's a different episode, perhaps. But the St. Cloud School District, it's not uncommon in this area to see people disappointed or dissatisfied. I mean, Sartell's had their equity audit thing, which kind of turned into a disaster for the school, and a lot of parents didn't like it. This discontent seems to have spread outside of this district. Do you feel like a lot of the people you talk to, whether they're in this city or outside of this city, tend to show that they're all having kind of similar concerns? And what does that mean for education in general?
Yeah, that's a good question. What was that, Nicole? Do you want to comment real quick? Sorry, I missed that.
Go ahead. It's a 4-person Zoom. It's going to get a little crowded from time to time. That's okay.
Right. Yeah. So Nicole mentioned back to the basics, and I think I think a lot of people, a lot of parents, a lot of people in the community that do have concerns, I think they are seeing issues like the graduation rate or the attendance rate, different things like that, and it's kind of raising questions like, well, what are we teaching in our schools? What are we doing in our schools? And as people kind of, probe or dig or come to understand, different situations within the district, I think a lot of parents feel like there's just a lot of agenda type things that are, being introduced into the school, or, things that aren't necessarily passing on skill sets, that are going to equip our kids with the skills that they're going to need to, as they progress in their education career, or as they graduate, getting into the workforce. And I think we're seeing that now. You're talking more social agenda driven type of things. Maybe social activists.
Maybe things that are more opinion based.
Right. And that's kind of the whole back to the basics. We kind of birthed that slogan here a few weeks ago. Just and as we talk to people, kind of coming up with that same feedback, saying, just teach my kids how to read, write, do math, teach them, biology, just different science, social studies. And when I say social studies, I mean like geography and history, things like that. Industrial arts, it's, like industrial arts, man, when I was a kid in class, and that's the thing, I think that's part of one of the reasons why I've got such a, I don't know if you want to call it like a heart for the district. My K through 12 education was here in St. Cloud. I went through 742. So I graduated from Apollo in 2000.
Oh, wow. 2000. Okay. So,
yeah.
I mean, relatively recently. So you've been here long enough to kind of see what you would say is a decline, to put it mildly.
Absolutely. Yeah. A morph, a decline, it's been a gradual thing. And it's tough to see. It's, I don't know if it frustrates a lot of parents or saddens a lot of parents. I think probably both. That's the thing. A lot of parents aren't gonna stick around to deal with it. They're just we got time to waste. They need to get their kids the best education that they can.
Now,
whether that's
Nicole, from the inside of all this, being inside the school district, are there teachers, are there employees in the school district who feel the way you do and aren't saying anything? Are they speaking up, or are you kind of a pariah in education if you rock the boat in any way and try to say, hey, we need to fix things around here? How is that met, and what's the temperature there?
Well, I think basically, we all stand on the same ground that we want an education for our kids. We want them to be successful. I would say vocally, I stand by myself a lot in the school district. I don't feel that I stand alone silently, if that makes any sense. But if you do rock the boat, it is a harder world.
Yeah.
In school, we'll say that. I've had teachers unfriend me on Facebook because of, certain things that I've said, or, when I'm walking down the hallway, we'll kind of look down so they don't have to have the conversations, I don't want to be seen with her because, maybe people would think that I agree with her. Or I don't know.
That's interesting. The schools, we talked about schools teaching more opinion-based stuff, but it's funny, only one opinion kind of gets accepted, and then it's opening a conversation, and then when you open up the floor to the conversation, half the conversation is just canceled out immediately.
Correct. Yep. So, I didn't agree with masking our students, and so that got me a lot of backlash. We'll say that.
Yeah.
But privately, I do get a lot of support, so that's really, really nice to hear. So, hopefully the polls will show that as well.
What are you hearing out there? And feel free, anybody, to jump in here. What are you hearing when you talk to people? I mean, are you hearing skepticism? Are you hearing support for your concerns and what you all want to do? What's the temperature?
I would say mostly support. That's why I kind of jumped in and said back to the basics, because that's what we're hearing parents say as we go out door knocking and talking with parents. We're all very open and trying to get parents to communicate, community members to communicate, what their concerns are, what they like, what they're seeing that they don't like. We want to hear all of them, because there are some great programs in the school system, which we do need to support as well. So, just keeping track of what people are saying. And that's overall what we've been hearing, is that their kids to learn the basics so they can be successful in their careers and adult life. Just today, as I was out, I got approached, and the topic was, we need to teach our kids how to do basic economics, like a checkbook, and what interest rates mean, because they're not learning it anywhere. And it's true, as I've helped my now adult children fill out forms and take out loans, they are, they're kind of clueless, and that's my fault as well. Sure. But I remember taking those classes in high school where we had to balance a checkbook and, learn about things like that. And I don't see where it's being taught now.
Yeah, make a budget, all that stuff. Well, what a heck of a time for them they're getting a great front row seat into learning about interest rates now if they're adults. It's a fun time to learn about interest rates. So now at the school board level, what's the plan to change any of this? I know we're talking about, because a lot of this stuff is seems to be the shifting climate or the shifting culture in schools in general. The school feeling they have more ownership of the child. Parents don't really need to be informed of as much. What can be done? Because a lot of us, myself including, are going to be learning about the school board process kind of on the fly here. What can be done, if anything, at the school board level that you guys will be able to change specifically?
Just an awareness, I think. I think a lot of parents have, we're so busy. We're raising our kids, we're working. Time goes really fast. And so it's really easy to kind of put a backseat on, well, it's education. That's, their job is to teach my kids how to read and write and do all that. But I think a lot of parents are waking up to the fact that, hey, you know what, maybe they're teaching them a little bit more than that, or suggesting a little bit more than that. And that's not what I wanted them to do, like the family values and different, social topics.
Right.
I want to be the one to teach my kids when I think they're ready. Each of my 4 children are very different in maturity levels. And so I don't think that, something should be introduced in kindergarten, third grade,
I always get a kick out of that. And Mike, it's crazy because I'll hear these stories about like Nicole just said, the family values and things like that. All of these things that these teachers, and ourselves included, are not specialists in whatsoever, but yet they're really determined to talk to kids about it. I don't know. Myself personally, I get really nervous about anyone who's really aggressive and makes it a point to take their morality or whatever it is and impart it on a child that they've known for less than a year. I always get a little squeamish at that.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead, Nicole.
No,
A lot of teachers are allowed to start doing indoctrination. And a big push we've heard from so many parents, especially with this lockdown, COVID, learning from home, is parents are told, okay, you need to get out of the room for these courses. And that happened here in District 742. You heard about it on the news. And that's really what got parents, what are you teaching our kids? There's literature when kids are back in school that says, you can't take this home. You can't tell mom and dad.
Yeah, that
never happen in any school setting, anywhere. So it's like letting the parents be back involved at the school level. If you can, I understand people are busy with work, but there are parents who want to be there.
Yeah.
And get back to the basics. We're not here as teachers should not be to indoctrination or put your views on a child, whether it's religion or political. But your job is to give them an education of reading, writing, arithmetic, the sciences, not indoctrinations or your views and beliefs. So we have to get rid of all these extracurriculars that are taking away from the teachers the time they're able to teach the students. A lot of teachers, and I'm pretty sure Nicole will agree with this because I was actually in Bueckers education in college. You're not supposed to teach to a test, but if your test grades aren't up, you lose funding, so you're teaching to tests.
Yeah.
And in all the indoctrination that goes around in the different cycles. So there's some changes that we definitely need to make, and we can make those decisions on the board of where the funding, where does the money get sent, what courses are taught in the district, what books get allowed and not allowed.
Yeah, well, if there's one thing kids don't need more of, it's less things to tell their parents about their education. Because I know, being a kid, you never remembered anything, or you never told your parents really about what was going on at school. And certainly, I don't think as a parent, any parent's going to feel very confident if they find out their kid's getting things that say, hey, make sure you don't tell your parents about this. I mean, if that were somebody driving around your neighborhood and they said the same thing, you'd want them reported.
So kind of on that one, we've kind of been digging into some of the books that are in our district. And I was talking to, I think Mike and Theresa earlier, and I was just like, if we read some of these excerpts out loud, we would be in trouble.
Yeah.
Like you could have them on your radio right now. So just an awareness of kind of what is around. And my thing is just, I just believe that we should have a neutral ground at school for, our different beliefs that are, like you said, they're more opinions.
Right.
So having all these different banners and things, they divide everybody. And we can't meet everybody's exact needs for, who they're looking for in a teacher. The world is full of different religion, different beliefs, and that's not what the school is for. So all of those things shouldn't be in school because all they do is divide teachers and students.
Well, and it's one thing if this stuff is getting taught while the graduation rate is in the 90%, but when it's in the 60s, that kind of makes it even more frustrating. Like you're not doing your job, you've got stuff to do, and yet here you want to push extracurriculars when you haven't even gotten the main job done.
Right. And I think
4-person Zoom, baby.
Lowered the testing to pass. So it's just sad. It's like, yes, be below 70% of graduation rate, but in order to even have that number, they've lowered the levels, as Nicole said, to a C- or D-, whatever it was, in order to graduate pass. That's not putting out somebody that's well educated, that got a good education.
Yeah. Oh, we're losing her a little bit there. All right, so everybody at the same time, the worst board member not named Natalie, go. No, I'm just kidding.
I got a number 2.
Oh, do you really? Oh, my God. Okay.
No, I don't want to throw any names out there, but definitely Natalie takes the cake.
This program, whether it's in its when we were back on radio or now in our digital incarnation, we've had our back and forths, and I'll just say Exhausting, I think, is the word that I would go with. Is exhausting, and here, you guys can stay completely silent on this part because this is more the shock jock in me. I mean, it apparently was even too exhausting for her ex-husband. But anyway, that's personal. That goes back a long way. Don't worry. That's nothing to do with you guys. Let's talk about going forward here. We're kind of heading into that stretch run. We're in the mid to late summertime. Election coming up in the fall. What do all three of you have coming up now? What's the next step, so to speak?
Well, we actually have a primary election that we really, really need help with. So since there are 8 people running, there can only be 6 on the ballot. So we have a primary election August 9th, and you can vote for 3, and we need people to vote for all 3 of us. If we're not on the ballot, we're done.
Yeah.
So we need to encourage everybody to get out August 9th.
You guys send us a link to that information. We'll put it in the description of the video, and then everybody can go click on that and find out more. So then you win all 3 of you qualify for the primary. You got to finish in the top 6 out of 8 people. After that, it's just off to the general election then, correct?
Right, November 8th would be the next date then.
Ooh, I mean, imagine if all 3 of you get in there. I mean, and then you got what? I mean, is there like a quote unquote swing vote on the board now that's kind of sympathetic to your cause as it is?
Yes,
there is one guy named Al Dahlgren who kind of shares the same values as us, and Al's pretty lonely right now because I think he's the only one on there that kind of leans more towards the conservative side of things.
Yeah.
And he's been on there by himself for quite a while. So,
well, it's really interesting because there's this awakening now of people who like they were minding their own business, and the school board was doing whatever, or the school district was doing whatever, and all these people are over there minding their own business, raising their families, and it's kind of strange that they've been woken up now. Like they didn't all of a sudden come into the school's house and go, we're gonna take this thing over. They just kind of watched their space keep getting encroached on, and finally now, like with you 3 and many others, they've just kind of gone, all right, enough. We have to step in. So I feel like anybody who wants to say that you guys are trying to like take over the school board or this and that, I think the reminder here should be, you guys didn't want anything to do with this until it just kind of kept coming towards you.
Exactly, Aaron. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm busy with personal life and family and work and all this other stuff. But like you said, as you see this stuff creep in, I figure, well, I can give 4 years or 8 years, a term or two to get in and kind of, I don't know, change some of the things that I'm concerned about. But it's not even so much about me either. It's getting in there and putting myself or putting ourselves, the 3 of us, in a position where the public, the parents, can reach out to us. We essentially are their voice in a position of authority, or not authority, but in a position where their voice can actually be heard.
Yeah, it's kind of a shift, isn't it? It's kind of from now it's parents are being dictated to from the board. The way you guys kind of want to do it is you want to be dictated to from the parents and then bring that forward.
Exactly. And that's the thing is there's so much that comes across, whether it's from teachers unions or different entities that come up with policies or curriculum or different things like that, because that's not necessarily really the job of the school board. The school board job is to really sit there and as these things come across, either approve or disapprove. And that's the thing. I don't know a ton about what all entails being on a school board, or the technicals of how the school system works in that sense.
Yeah.
But I think being on there, having common sense when it comes to morals, values, what the community wants, what parents want, and then being in that position to be able to say, hey, no, that's not really what our parents want.
Right. Well, I tell you what, it's been great having all 3 of you on. And look, if the primary and everything goes well, we can have you on again. It's always nice to do, now that we're on YouTube now, it is nice to kind of do some of these local things once in a while. We don't do it quite as much, but it's nice to give the people who have been, watching and listening to us for years and years, from this area, kind of throw them out something that, might be missing generally. So I thank you, Mike. I thank you to reaching out to me, and Nicole and Theresa, I thank you for coming on. Again, it's Mike Bueckers, Nicole Rierson, and Theresa Carlstedt, all three. And August, what was the date for the primary?
August 9th.
August 9th. Be sure to vote for all three for St. Cloud District 742 School Board. Nicole, Theresa, Mike, thank you all very much.
Thank you for
Thank you, Aaron.
All right.